Hi everyone, I hope you had a good reading week. What I want to do in this video is just a review to make sure we understand the purpose of assessments and those small words as, for, and of. We've decided with Rick Stiggins' input that all we need to know when we're doing assessment is what is our purpose. And you'll notice that in the Growing Success document, there is this page 31, that tells us assessment for learning, assessment as learning, assessment of learning. The for is diagnostic or formative. Those are words we used to use as a teacher as we're instructing. As is the student figuring out what they've learned. And of is when we always give a mark. So let's look at those a little bit closer. There's those three small words. All we need to do is decide what purpose we want to assess for. And Rick Stiggins has added some information for us. So here's what we've seen in the course already. I sent you a list of these, and these are different types of assessments we could use. And in the types of assessments, we've got classroom presentation. We've been involved ourselves in doing questioning. We've been also involved in doing interviewing. We can use those assessments as long as we know what the purpose is for. We could use the classroom presentation, or we could use that interview. We could use it for learning, which would tell the teacher what the student knows and what they need to add in their instruction in their lesson. We could use the interview as learning and have the students fill out a self-evaluation of how they learned in that interview from you. You could also do the interview of learning, which is what we're doing in the interviews that we handed in. This document that I gave you with all the descriptions of different types of assessments came from a large document from the ministry. And I want to point out, it's called an assessment companion, and I'll post that for you. It was produced in 2002. Growing Success was produced in 2010. There's not been a lot produced on assessment since, because Rick Stiggins' idea of for, as, and of has been very, very powerful as we learn the purpose of assessment. When we're recording assessment, you'll notice that in the assessment companion in 2002, they talk about keeping an anecdotal record or a checklist, and they describe how to do that, and I'll post that for you. A rating scale, rate yourself 1 to 5, a rubric, which we've been using in the course. We are now in the 21st century, so we also do digital and video for recording, just so we have a record of what the child has done. So that's how we can record what we've assessed. So let's just do a quick review of Rick Stiggins' theory that's been adopted by Ann Davies, by Damien as well, is researchers continue to really like the idea of for, and as assessment. So if we did a Venn diagram, this is the teacher, this is the student, and there's an overlap. Whenever we do for assessment, like questioning, like we did in our interview, or we do a quick quiz that's not been marked, it's for us to know how should we instruct better. When we're doing a self-assessment for a student, then they're figuring out how are they learning through this process, and it's as assessment. When we give it a mark, it's of assessment. So I want to do a visual here that Rick Stiggins did in changing our whole process of assessment since I went to school, and maybe more so when you went to school. But here's the teacher and here's the student. When we're assessing for, that's for the teacher. They might do thumbs up if you understand what I just said. That would be a for assessment. Now we're talking about the student doing a self-evaluation of how are they learning. And when we do of, it also tells the student what mark they got. So all of a sudden you see that assessment is only 1/3 for the teacher and 2/3 for the student, which means Rick Stiggins brought our whole theory of bringing the student into the process of learning, because they're the ones who have to learn from what we teach. I hope that gets you to understand that all you need to know is what purpose are you doing assessment for, And then you can choose any type of assessment that you want to use. And I will post for you the assessment companion book that has many, many different types of assessment in it. And I'm sure you've been experimenting within your practicum experiences. Thank you.